My name is Jose Montoya, and I don't know who my mother is. But what I do know is that I was in an orphanage when I was 3.5 years old, and from there I got adopted by a Dutch couple, and that's how I ended up here, in Amsterdam. I've been here for 40 years to be exact. And in all those years I never thought about grieving. Nobody told me this was a possibility, or even what it was. I had to Google this myself. To grieve is to deal with the great loss. For example, the death of someone you love, or the loss of your health due to an illness, or the loss of hope for a child. Loss gives rise to many emotions such as sadness, gloom, and anger. This is about me. As an adoptee, loss is the starting point of your life. According to Google, you may grieve. So I will. I grieve for the mothers. Mothers all over the world that carried their baby for 9 months, who were sometimes brought into this world in impossible circumstances. Sometimes mothers had to make the difficult decision to give up their own child. Sometimes they were forced to. Sometimes they were told their baby was stillborn, to discover later the hospital sold them to parents abroad. These mothers didn't have the chance to say goodbye. They never held their own child. They didn't know it was the last time. And that they would never see each other again. I grieve for them. But also for the Dutch mothers who couldn't get children of their own because they were infertile or their partner was. Sometimes their newborn was stillborn. How sad is that? They must have grieved. But usually that didn't happen. Much sorrow was silenced, denied, or filled up with another child from another country. I grieve. I grieve for all the babies who were flown in. Children that needed a safe home base, but didn't always get it. The love they were promised didn't always come. As a result, they grew up with the idea they had to raise themselves. And they did. They became social workers, psychologists, specialized in dealing with trauma. They became freelancers, entrepreneurs, and set up foundation with adoptees who were also searching. They organized route trips to the native country, learned to speak their native language. They searched for their birth papers to find their family. Adoptees helped co-adoptees to discover who we are. Because if we don't help each other, who does? I grieve. I grieve for the adoptees who are no longer with us. Co-adoptees who made the choice to take their own lives. The new life, with a roof over their heads. enough food to eat, money to buy things, and still they went away. We will never see them again. All our riches and privileges weren't enough to make them happy and reconsider their final decision. What they were missing was probably priceless. A sense of belonging, a place to feel at home. I grieve. I grieve for the blame that's mainly placed on the child. But the child is always innocent. It didn't choose to be here and therefore owes nothing to no one. The desire to have children belongs to the parents and not the child. If anyone needs to be grateful for that, it should be the parents. I grieve. I grieve because I know nothing. I don't know who my mother is. I don't know when I was born. I don't know where I was born. I don't know my name either. I had to discover my personal information had been fabricated, that adoptions were illegal, that hospitals, monasteries, orphanages, adoptions agencies were corrupted, and that the Dutch government contributed to this by covering up years of child theft and human trafficking. Everything I didn't know, I had to discover myself. I grieve for the system of adoption that continues after a temporary stop under the same authorities that got away with everything. And after all this, still don't have to make promises that children will no longer be stolen, because you can't promise something like that. An adoption system is never watertight. And that's why babies will always slip through the seams. My question is, what is acceptable to us? May 10 out of the 100 babies be stolen? Is that acceptable? Or may 5 out of the 100 babies be stolen? Okay, 3 out of the 100. I won't go any lower. Going once, going twice, sold, I grieve. That's why I'm dressed in black. Everybody may hear it. Everybody may see it. My grieving process started. I feel anger. I feel sadness. I feel lost, weak, denied, ignored. I feel rage. I feel small. I feel fragile.